In 1996, the sixth season of Beavis and Butthead was airing. Now around that time, many episodes did not make it to the air, either because Mike Judge didn't deem them funny enough, or because they weren't like any other episode. Mike Judge regretted half of the show because of the awful animation and the unrealistic plots. He made up for it by making the episodes about Beavis and Butthead's stupidity, which wasn't much like them in the 1993-1994 era. Back in the earlier episodes, they used to blow up insects and destroy other people's property. An example of their destruction was an early episode involving them destroying a wimpy kid named Stuart's kitchen up, causing all of them to get in trouble. They usually took advantage of Stuart in many ways, tricking him into believing they got a new video game, just so he would let them into his house. In the first pilot episode, Beavis and Butthead were not identified, causing their names to become confused. Butthead ends up referring to Beavis as Butthead. The episode showcases them playing baseball, using a frog as the ball. In the meanwhile they beat each other up, until the frog is dead. At the end, they begin chasing a poodle, wanting to make him suffer the same fate as the frog. Would they do something like that now? After Season 3, Matt aimed the show around Beavis and Butthead's stupidity, giving them higher voices. By 1995, this was the time cornholio became common. Mike Judge nearly didn't create him, thinking that the fans would be confused. Either way, the character was created, landing the new Beavis and Butthead in place. Now, I was somewhat of a friend of Mike. I wasn't a close friend. In fact, I only knew him because I applied for a job at MTV, which I sadly didn't get. But knowing Mike Judge seemed to be good enough. He occasionally gave me storyboards for some Season 7 episodes, and the script for Beavis and Butthead are dead. Now, I was around some of the time he thought of the unmade episodes. One of the ideas contained Beavis and Butthead becoming brainwashed into robbing a bank, and end up earning $10, which Todd steals from them. That was just one of many that never got created. Now, about two were actually created and nearly aired, before Mike Judge pulled the episodes and replaced them with reruns, not because they were shocking or disturbing, mostly because they just didn't seem to fit the qualities of a good episode. One was titled Surfing Around Island, and another was named Alone. I asked Matt if I could see the two episodes, which he said I could. They just weren't that funny. The surfing episode started with a gang on the beach where they could go on a diving board, but they refused to jump, holding back the line to jump. A few people are screaming at them, including other characters that we know, like Daria, Stuart, and Mr. Van Driesen, which seemed to be odd since Stuart idolizes them. Mike just told me the episode was rushed and they just recycled character models, which has been done before. Van Driesen proceeds to tell them to close their eyes and pretend they're landing on top of soft fluffy pillows, which isn't unlike him to say. They follow his advice and close their eyes, but they jump backwards and crush the people waiting in line. One of the older people shout about how they broke their hip, which seemed like a normal joke. What seemed off was the long pacing. It feels as if they were using still frames with audio over them, which was a bad way of editing, and a lazy way at that. The episode ends with the two yelling and screaming about how awesome it was. They then climb back up on the diving board and the episode freezes on them about to land on the people again. Then the credits roll. It was a pretty normal episode, just with dry humor. I can say I'm glad it wasn't aired, but I could also say I chuckled at a few jokes. I would rate it a 6 out of 10. What's Up is the title. The episode was about them trying to jump off a diving board, not about them going surfing. On to the Alone episode. Now I have a lot of things to say about this one. Okay, so the basic plot is that Beavis wakes up to find no one in the island, which causes him to slowly go insane. It was quite a cool episode, but still, it needs to be explained. Okay, so the episode begins with Beavis on the couch snoring, with the TV off. They show this for 10 seconds, then Beavis slowly wakes up, muttering under his breath. He says, "Butthead, change the channel." He then gets no reply, causing him to think Butthead is not listening. So Beavis gets up and yells louder. At that second he finds the remote, but it won't come on, no matter how many times he pushes the power button. After a few tries he gets angry and destroys the TV with a remote. Beavis decides to fix the TV later and look for Butthead. He begins looking around the house, revealing new rooms that have not been shown, one of them being Beavis' mom's room, which is shown to be dirty and filled with VHS tapes. During the time he is looking, he decides to go to Stuart's house, presuming he would know where Butthead is. Act 2 begins with Beavis patiently waiting for Stuart to answer the door, calling him a bundle. He then spins his head around very fast, something he usually does when he's impatient. It then zooms in on the inside of the house, with it being empty. Beavis soon breaks down the door, going into the kitchen, soon realizing Stuart has gone missing along with Butthead. An interesting note is that Beavis' voice is much higher in the episode. Mike told me it was because of a cold, which came about the same time the episode was created. At the same time Beavis notices Stuart is gone, he realizes the whole town has perished, causing a long silence, with Beavis' face getting happier by the second. I'm the Omega. The classic music plays as Beavis breaks into the Maxi Mart to steal food. He also cheers as he gets to drink beer for the first time, which has never happened because of his age. Through in one episode he drank awful non-alcoholic beer, thinking it was real beer. He begins thinking of what the missing people are doing, which it shows a news report talking about how a deadly virus has slipped into the town, which can kill a person very violently. He then remarks that the entire town has been evacuated, making sure no one caught the virus. Beavis has no idea about these events, not knowing it's too late to leave town. He passes out after smashing his head. After a night, he is passed out behind the cash register. He is woken up when a rat bites his leg, causing him to quickly slam his head onto the wall. He confused by the mess that is found all over the store. It cuts to Beavis walking around town silently, clenching his stomach. It seems the only thing he can do is walk and shout insults at people that aren't even there. He then falls over on the sidewalk. Thinking about what could have happened to all of his friends/enemies, he begins shouting at God, throwing a can at the clouds, which ends up landing on a rooftop, bringing humor into a somewhat dark situation. You could tell the creator tried not to make it too serious. After all, it's Beavis and Butthead. He begins to become his alter ego, Cornholio, proving that he's going insane. However, he can't do much, because his anger is built up by the people around him. He imagines all of the town has came back, proclaiming Cornholio as their god, which happened in Season 8. The episode begins resembling the newer episode, Holy Cornholio, just not in HD and less realistic. He imagines himself decapitating Principal McVicker, who comedically begs Cornholio to let him go, which he replies with, "Are you threatening me?" Soon reality kicks in, as Beavis hears a plane flying over Island, which causes him to jump up in joy, knowing he will be able to get revenge on the people who had left him. It quickly shows Beavis torturing Butthead, which makes Beavis laugh very violently, causing him to run out of air. He falls on the ground and notices something falling from the plane. It was actually an atomic bomb, which falls down. The camera zooms in on Beavis' face while he's screaming, "No!" The screen cuts to black and a loud bang is heard. I laughed at the fact the credits come in like usual, as if nothing happened at all. Now, the episode wasn't as dark as you'd think. There is nothing really disturbing about the episode besides the idea that Beavis was killed in an atomic blast. But Beavis has actually been killed twice before, which kinda cancels out the idea that alone could be a cancelled series finale. Mike Judge said he cancelled that episode because of the controversy it would cause. He claimed it wouldn't be worth airing because of the fact it's non-canon. Through the idea was used in the newer episode Doomsday, where Beavis and Butthead raid the town thinking everyone was killed. It's highly possible the episodes will be aired again. They have still been preserved. Mike is indifferent to the idea of the episodes airing, but he said he would consider it as a treat for the fans. Plus, a rumor went around of surfing in Island images being spread on a Spanish forum in 2009 through the images were fake. Season 6 came up as a short season as a result of Mike not being satisfied with many episodes, through we can still recreate what could have been. Since the show came back, Mike has decided to recreate some of the ideas that never came to see the light of day. Even now, I still remember those episodes, and I will always enjoy what could have been.